Alright, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can realistically, confidently, and steadily get into self-improvement and improve yourself. So there's a lot of information out there today. There's a lot of people talking about how, it's just your mindset. You just gotta be happy and you gotta love yourself and you just gotta go after the things you want to do. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's pretty simplistic. And then you have a lot of different ideas of how you should improve yourself. We have people like David Goggins, who I admire a lot, who is a complete badass if you've never heard of him. But I mean, he's a guy that will run 200 miles, bathe in ice lakes to lose weight and shit like that. He's a badass guy. But so you have that type of self-improvement where it's just callous yourself, just go after it. And there's all these different types of self-improvements, right? And the one I'm going to be talking about today is incremental growth. Jordan Peterson's a big advocate of that. So incremental growth is the best way you can improve yourself at the start, all right? This is the best way to do it. So let's say you're kind of just a piece of shit. You're not doing a whole lot. That sounds harsh, but that's how you got to see it sometimes. So let's just say you're kind of just floating around in life. You're trying to be happy. You're pursuing happiness. You're pursuing gratification, let's say, which, I think that's pretty common in our society today. You want to feel good, right? Who wouldn't want to do that? Our society would say that. So maybe you're just playing a lot of video games. You're drinking soda. You're drinking alcohol. You're smoking weed. You're eating like shit. Checking your phone 8 hours a day. You're on Instagram. You get the point, right? But that's not an outlier. That's kind of normal in our world today. Doesn't mean you're a bad person, right? It just means that you're not fulfilling the potential that you have inside of you. And to me, I don't have a right to tell you what to do, right? But to me, that seems like a big mistake. You could be a lot more than just that person who's like everyone else, just floating around, and you're controlled by your emotions, you're controlled by external things going on in life. You don't really control your life. You're just living in this world, right? You're just in this world. You're not yourself. You're just an entity in this world getting pushed around by all these things. So yeah, incremental success is, I call it incremental success because that's where it's going to lead. But incremental growth is, in my opinion, the best thing you could do. So basically what I mean by this is, let's say you're this guy that I'm talking about, which we've just went over. And all right, how about this? You're on your phone, let's say you're on Instagram and Snapchat 8 hours a day, Twitter, whatever, YouTube, 8 hours a day. This week, you're going to try to do only 6 hours a day, all right? Just for this week, okay? That's not going to be earth-shattering for you. That's not that hard to do, right? I think we could all agree cutting 2 hours off out of 8 hours probably isn't going to be the hardest thing to do, but it's reasonable. You could do it, and you could confidently do it, right? You could successfully do that, and you could build a little confidence by doing it. So do that, right? Then the next week, you try to cut it down to 5, okay? 5 hours. There you go. You successfully do that for another week. Now you're down to 5 hours, right? Now, maybe you look at other things in your life that you don't like, right? Maybe you haven't read a book. Because I know early in high school, when I was kind of a normal person, I didn't actually read. If I'd had to read a book for class, maybe I'd just BS skim it. I hadn't voluntarily read a book in years. So I would recommend Man's Search for Meaning, 12 Rules for Life, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, Beyond Order by Jordan Peterson, just books like these. But I'd recommend Man's Search for Meaning too. That one's really good and it's short and accessible. But let's say you buy Man's Search for Meaning, all right? It's about 200 pages, okay? And that seems pretty daunting. This is a pretty sophisticated book. It's not the hardest to read, but there's a lot of complex ideas in it, and it's pretty tough emotionally. How about you read 5 pages every day for a week? Every day. That is very reasonable. You could do that. It's not the end of the world. Maybe take 10 minutes each day. And you think, yeah, I could do that. So now you've read 35 pages by Sunday. You started on Monday. Okay, now this week you're going to do 10 pages and each day. And you're like, yeah, it's not that hard. It's only 10 pages. Like, it's not going to seem like you've just won a trophy or you're a millionaire or anything, right? It's 10 pages a day. It's not great, right? Okay, end of the week, you've read 100 pages. So you've actually just read 65 more pages than you did the last week. You've more than doubled the amount you've read that week. I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? I think it's pretty impressive. So now you've read 105 pages of a pretty complex book. You're halfway done with Man's Search for Meaning, one of the greatest books, in my opinion, ever written, in 2 weeks. And you think, would my life be a little better if I did that? Would it not be a tiny bit better? I think your life would be a little bit better. So yeah, that's the best way to, if your goal is to improve yourself, that's how you got to do it. No one lifts 500 pounds at once. No one, right? You got to start off slow and just slowly, you're gonna have downs, right? It's not gonna be, everyone says, everyone says this, there's gonna be ups and downs, but I mean, that's how it is. You're gonna have some days where drop a little bit, but the key is you got to try to keep that, okay? It shouldn't be like that. You got to be as steady as possible, even on days when you don't want to read those 10 pages and you're just dreading it, or you don't want to go to the gym for like 10 minutes. Maybe all you want to do, maybe all you're trying to do is go to the gym for 10 minutes each day. That's it. It's not a lot, but maybe you're just dreading getting in the car and going to the gym, right? Just think about getting in your car and driving to the gym, okay? Because once you get there, your motivation will spurt up. Your motivation usually comes once you get to the task you're trying to do. You're not going to have motivation if you're thinking, oh, I got to lift for 10 minutes. It's going to take 10 minutes to drive there. It's going to take 10 minutes back. Oh my God, I'm so tired. If you just focus on walking in the door, getting to the door and walking in, you'll get all this motivation and it'll be a lot easier. So that's the key. Slowly get better and you'll start striding. I promise you. Within a couple months or a couple weeks, probably a couple months reasonably, you'll start feeling like a different person. I personally, that's my story. 3 years ago, I started doing the same thing, and yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. And the other key thing is you gotta have a goal. You gotta have a meaning to your life, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, what's the point of doing all this improvement? Like, why are you reading 10 pages a day? Why are you going to the gym a little bit? What's the point of that? If you don't have a meaning, then that's going to be a valid question, right? So what I would say is, this is what Viktor Frankl argues in Man's Search for Meaning, as well as Jordan Peterson and many other people. You got to have some sort of higher aim, and that could be anything. For some people, it could just be trying to live the most godlike life ever, right? That's some sort of meaning. Maybe for me, I want to own a soccer team one day, and I want to win the Champions League with it. It's one of my ultimate goals. I have many other goals. So you gotta figure out what you want. Doesn't matter if it's realistic or not, something way out there, and make that your meaning, okay? And then from there, set incremental goals on how you want to achieve that. So for me, I want to own a soccer team in Europe, okay? So I kind of set that sophomore year. So sophomore year, going into junior year, I had a 3.0, pretty shitty grades, right? It's not great. Hadn't taken many college classes or anything. Like, I was just kind of a bum. So my first steps were to get better grades, take harder classes. I threw myself into like advanced math classes when I barely passed the basic ones I took the year before. It's all your mindset. If you tell yourself, I can do this, right? If I put my mind to something, I can still complete it. So I put myself in these hard classes that a year ago I would have completely flunked out of, and I ended up with a 4.5 for the whole year. Then the next senior year, I did the same thing, ended up with a 4.6. Okay, so those are my goals. Get good grades, because you can get into a good college. Why do I want to get into a good college? Because if I can get into a good college, then I'll get a good degree. If I can get a good degree, then I can get a good job. If I can get a good job, okay, then I can make money. Okay, if I can make money, then, you see where I'm going. Then eventually you get to your goal. Okay, you get to that meaning. And I have a couple other big meanings too. That's not the only thing I'm living for. There's other things I want way in the future. But that's the point. You got to have long-term goals, and you got to incrementally get to these goals. All right? And you got to kind of make it an identity too. You got to tell yourself, I'm the kind of person that is trying to get better. I'm not trying to get worse. And there's going to be days where you fuck up. Everyone knows that, right? Everyone knows that. But the key is you got to do shit when you don't want to do it. That's what I've learned. No one wants to go to the gym. No one wants to read those 10 pages. No one wants to clean the dishes. No one wants to fucking go to work, right? No one wants to do that shit, right? No one does most of the time. But if you can get through on those days when you don't want to do it, that's the key to life. If you can do it when you don't want to do it. And at the same time, I'm going to finish this video off with a quote from Viktor Frankl. It's one of my favorite quotes. And the quote, this is just paraphrased. The quote is, in some ways, suffering ceases to be suffering once it has a meaning. And that's the perfect quote, because once you have a reason to lift those weights, once you have a reason to go to work every day, then is it really suffering anymore? In some ways, it's not. It's not suffering because you're doing these things for a reason. There's a point to it. It's not just insignificant suffering. So yeah, pursue meaning, incremental success. Thanks for watching. Also, everyone, I've linked Man's Search for Meaning on Amazon in the description, so you have no excuse not to get the book. Thanks.